Here in America, with homes like Farmington, we have done a great job at saying don't remember. But it is okay to say what happened here and invite people in for a deeper conversation.
Dear Speed, in 1841, you and I had together a tedious low-water trip on a steamboat from Louisville to St. Louis. You may remember, as I well do, there were on board 10 or a dozen slaves shackled together with irons. That sight was a continual torment to me. I do oppose the extension of slavery, and I am under no obligation to the contrary. If for this you and I must differ, differ we must.
We get visitors at Farmington from all over the country, as well as all over the world. Many of them have a common love for history. Some enjoy the Lincoln connection, and also many want to go through the historic home. Part of going through an historic home and loving history is hearing about those stories of the people that lived there in that home and on that land. And so we try to share that story with everyone.
Farmington began as the home of the Speed family, who have contributed a lot on the local, state, and national level in politics. But Farmington also was a hemp plantation. Hemp was one of the only labor-intensive crops in Kentucky that would have necessitated enslaved workforce. So Farmington's significance beyond the Speeds extends to the enslaved.
Enslavement is simply a part of Kentucky's history. And so in these spaces, we need to do something different.
In the turn of the century, a lot of work was done to try to begin to include the story of the enslaved people that lived here as well. Over time, nobody happened to think very much about preserving the living quarters for those folks.
In my humble opinion, I think that's intentionally done. I mean, the house is here. So if you could keep the house, you could preserve other things.
Yeah.
And so I believe, and I'm glad Farmington's doing it, it's trying to make right what they've intentionally erased.
Yeah.
The new programming will draw from different parts of our community and diversify what has traditionally been a very white space. The memorial rededication, for example, drew a very diverse crowd. It was a really beautiful day here at Farmington, and we'd love to see that replicated on a regular basis. We're looking to learn from the past to shape the future. How do we become a resource for folks working on justice?
Take my hand and lead me home.
I tend to see Farmington from a land perspective. The regeneration of the use of the land, the agriculture, is definitely tied to the regeneration of just the plantation, its engagement in future conversations, because guess what? That is an activity that we all can share.
Farmington will be an example to show other historic homes. This is how you can do it.
It is a place that people come to visit now without shame, without anger, without hurt. It becomes a healing place, a place where you have the hard conversations that make sustained change.
I want people to come to Farmington with openness. And what can I learn from what happened here? And then when you hear the stories, honor what you have heard. And it does not mean never speaking of the Speed family, never speaking of Abraham Lincoln, or erasing their story. It means you're telling two stories. And you're also telling a story where these families were interconnected.
We at Farmington think a lot about our legacy, and we put a lot of energy into where we want to be in the next few years. We think about the visitor experience and sharing the entire story of Farmington with our visitors.
I feel like Farmington holds space and says, come see me, sit and speak with me. For those who are open to engaging in the conversation, Farmington will be that space.